Stop Sports Shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. Appreciate your patience this morning here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We're inside the Cafe Kubal studios. Cafe Kubal with locations all around central and upstate New York. You can find Cafe Kubal by simply bringing yourselves to 3501 James Street, as well as 401 South Salina Street, 208 North Townsend Street, where you'll also find Kubal Co-works, where you can rent out space for your business and give yourself, there's meeting rooms, there's actual spaces and spots where you can rent out an office, and there's a podcasting headquarters upstairs where you can have things edited and done, and you can shoot different things on video as well as for audio. So make sure that you utilize Cafe Kubal Co-works right above the cafe on 208 North Townsend Street in Syracuse, New York. Of course, they're inside of Golisano's Children's Hospital, and you'll also find them out in Manlius on 343 Fayette Street, and in their newest location, which is their first ever drive-through location, and that is on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road in North Syracuse, New York, a.k.a. the Sweetheart Corner, so make sure you find your way over there as well. Inside of today's show, and to start off a fantastic week, this is, folks, believe it or not, going to start off our first conversations in September of 2021. I cannot believe it's September. I remember sitting here when it was January saying, I hope this year is better for everybody than last year, and that was how many months ago now? So, about to be 8 months ago. So we are here in the final couple days of August, and I'll be bringing you a Syracuse football countdown week. Of course, this week with Syracuse Orange football and many slated to get started here, God willing, for the college football season. So I'll be discussing all of that here where sports meets life on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. I'm very excited to bring that to you today and all throughout the week. But before we do that, I have a very special sit-down with Sonny Dykes. Sonny Dykes is going to be joining the show for a very special spotlight conversation. He'll be joining me from the great state of Texas, the Dallas area, where people know how to pony up. And I'm very much looking forward to having Sonny Dykes on the show, SMU Mustangs head coach for the football team, and we'll be talking about so many different collegiate topics, especially in the sport of football and, in general. So Sonny's going to be joining me to have a conversation about a lot of different things this morning. So whether you're an SMU fan or not, there is so much value in what Sonny and I are about to talk about, because it just bridges the gap to all college football fans and beyond. So Sonny will be joining us inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin', and after that we will do a very special heartfelt tribute to Nathan Tammelaid, who unfortunately has left us way too soon at the age of 33. And so we'll do that in a little while here, and then we will head into hour number 2, and we'll get into the biggest questions surrounding Syracuse football. So all of that coming up where sports meets life here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We're going to take a very quick step aside and come back with Sonny Dykes right after this, here where sports meets life. Thanks for joining us inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Thank you for supporting Central and Upstate New York, and thank you for being you. I'll be back with Sonny Dykes right after this.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Kubal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafekubal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Kubal needs. Cafe Kubal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/livenowdt, and facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, where you're watching and you're listening on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt and on wakeupcalldt.com from inside of the Cafe Football studios. Here with me, Sonny Dykes, the head coach of the SMU Mustangs, and appreciate, Sonny, you taking some time with us today, very much so thank you for that.
Yeah, happy to be here.
And Sonny, looking at going into this season, the American Athletic, just what you can say about the conference and the strength of the conference as we are seeing, and we'll talk about, realignment's kind of rearing its head again. What can you say about being a part of this conference and what you think about the American?
Well, I think number one, the conference gets better every year. I think when you look around the league, there's more teams that are competitive. There's more teams that are getting big out-of-conference wins year in, year out. It's just a competitive league from top to bottom. I think the teams at the top continue to get better. I think at one point those, some of those teams were top 30 teams and then became top 25 teams. And now, when you look around, you say Cincinnati, potentially Central Florida, both easily top 20 teams, with Cincinnati probably a top 10 team. And so, it's just that kind of league. It's developed into that league. It's developed into a league that from top to bottom is really good. When you look at teams that are emerging, Houston's obviously getting better, and they've had a really good program for a number of years. Tulane has really made a move. Tulsa's a team that can beat anybody on any given Saturday. You just start looking around the league, and it's just good football from top to bottom. So really good young coaches. Memphis has been conference champion for a number of years, and has proven out of conference that they're a force to be reckoned with as well. So really, really solid league, very underrated, and I think getting better.
With realignment and in the state of Texas making a move to the SEC and Oklahoma following them in that respect, what's your take on what this could look like? I mean, you're a Texas team at SMU. So, Texas Tech in the Big 12, Baylor in the Big 12, TCU in the Big 12, all Texas teams. How do you view this as a coach? I mean, would you be open to see? I mean, TCU plays the American from season to season. Would you be open to seeing some of those teams come in? Would you like some more Texas representation if that were to happen?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to predict how it's all going to play out. I think the good thing is our league is very strong. Getting more credible every single year. And I think we're all really comfortable where we are right now. And I don't mean to speak for anybody else in the league, but I know that we're happy with our arrangement. We just signed a recent extension of our contract with ESPN. There was a significantly better contract for the conference members. So, I think things are headed in the right direction. I think ESPN is starting to realize, and everybody across the country starting to realize, the number of viewers that our games bring in on the national telecast and how competitive they are and exciting they are, and the brand of football is really good. And so all that stuff is things to be considered. So, I don't know. Everybody's got an idea of what they think is going to happen. I think if you polled, 10 of our different coaches, they'd give you 10 different scenarios on what they think is going to happen. I know I've talked to our administration, and we know what we think is going to happen, but there's really not any consensus. I think it just depends on, what happens with some of the other leagues. Do they try to add members? Do they sit where they are? I don't think those leagues know quite yet what they're going to do. And so the good thing is we're sitting here in a position of strength and stability, and our league is going to do nothing but continue to get better and better. And so we're going to be attractive to somebody if our league decides we want to expand, because at the very least we offer stability, and it's a league that, again, is improving and is getting more and more credible.
Is there any thought that the American could lose anything, or is it more of the consensus that if anything happens to the American, you would see expansion?
That's a good question. I mean, it's a really good question. I don't think any of us have any idea, because so much of that's going to depend on what other leagues decide to do. You know what I mean? Is everybody going to try to go to 16 teams, and then if they do, then how does that affect our league? Will we go to 16 before somebody else goes to 16? So there's just all these different options that are out there, and possibilities and things that for people to speculate on. But right now, I think that, the consensus seems to be that people are going to honor their media contracts. Some of those media contracts don't expire until 2025, others in 2024. So as of now, I think everybody's kind of going to stay where they are and see what happens. And you know how it is. I mean, those plans are made years in advance. So if something's going to happen in 2025, everybody's going to have a pretty good idea what's going to happen in 2023 in preparation for 2025. And so there's going to be a lot of things that are going on. The thing I got to worry about is just trying to get our football team ready to play and to play the best that we can. And we understand, our performance on the football field makes us more attractive to leagues. We have a lot of positive things going on in our program right now. We've built one of the best indoor facilities in college football. We're going to announce, a big football building here pretty quickly. We're recruiting better and better every single year. We're getting the top talent in Dallas to stay here. And so, we have a lot of momentum as a program, but we have to go out and we have to do well on Saturday and win these football games and, play for a conference championship and win a conference championship. And if those things happen to you consistently, then you're going to get taken care of.
And I want to jump into some of those areas you brought in. One final note on realignment before we jump into that for SMU. I just want to play crystal ball. I know that we don't know for sure what's going to happen, but Irving, Texas is now where the American Athletic has moved their headquarters to, as opposed to Providence, Rhode Island. So they're down there in the state of Texas. Kind of a two-part question. What does it mean to you that the American Athletic Conference that you are within now has their headquarters in your state? And then secondly, crystal ball, Texas Tech, Baylor, TCU come into the American. You have Houston and SMU. What would it be like to have that much Texas representation, and would you like that in recruiting?
Yeah. Look, we would welcome that. I mean, I think all of those teams have a great tradition of football. I think that would be great for SMU because we've played those teams for a number of years, going back to the old Southwest Conference days. And so it makes sense regionally. I think it's going to be, easy for the teams to travel. It's one of those things probably in the college football world makes too much sense. And so there's really not any chance it's going to happen, And going back to the headquarters, I think the fact that the American has moved to Texas, I think it's just a clear signal that, the conference would change. I mean, it used to be the old Big East. And so, being in Providence made a lot of sense when all your teams were on the East Coast, and that was kind of where all the action was at that time. Well, now Dallas has kind of become the central location of college football. You look around and the playoff is here. The college football playoff headquarters are here. There's a lot of conferences that headquarter out of Dallas, and so I think it makes a lot of sense from a communication standpoint for our guys to be here, where they have access to all these different organizations and they can get in front of them on a pretty regular basis. And so, like you said, I mean, it always makes a difference when you can sit down with somebody and talk to somebody face to face. And it's a little bit easier for our league to do that being in Dallas, Texas, than it is in Providence.
So you're at SMU and you've had your time there. Speaking here with Sonny Dykes, the head coach of the SMU Mustangs football program. Looking at what you've had so far at SMU from 2018 through 2020, 5-7, 10-3, made it to the Boca Raton Bowl, and then last season 7-3. as you step into year 4 at SMU, what's your assessment of kind of what you were looking for coming in and what you were trying to build foundationally? How is it going at this point as you step into year 4?
Yeah, well, I think everybody has a pretty clear idea of SMU's football history. We used to be one of the top programs in college football, got the death penalty, had a long road back. June Jones had some great years as the head coach here, but the program just hasn't really ever been consistent. And I think that's what we're trying to do, is just be a consistent winner. We had a 10-win season in year 2. I think it was probably a little quicker than everybody thought we possibly could. And I think a lot of that had to do with our use of the transfer portal. At that time, it wasn't the portal; it was taking transfers, and then shortly thereafter, the portal kind of came into being, and it's changed a little bit. But look, we had a lot of really good high school football players that played football in Dallas, that signed with some school, mostly out of state, that went there. They got there, it wasn't what they thought it was going to be. It wasn't what they were told it was going to be during the recruiting process. Maybe the head coach changed. Maybe that some kind of situation changed with their family, whatever the case may be. A lot of these kids wanted to come back to Dallas because, they wanted to be around friends and family and people that they knew. And we had some success with transfers with Reggie Robertson in year 1, transferring in and really playing well for us. And all of a sudden, it kind of became a destination for kids that, that needed a second chance. And then Shane Buechele came in and kind of ratcheted that up even to a different level. And Shane played so well for us and, led us to that 10-win season in our second year. And, Shane had been the starter at the University of Texas for 2 years. And things didn't really go the way that he had them planned. And so he was looking for a new home. And this was a great landing spot for him. And he's from Texas and grew up in Texas. And so it made sense for him to come back here and have a chance to finish the career on a high note. He certainly did do that. So that happened, and so what we've tried to do is build our team, number one, with high school football players. You have to do that. That's the way you have to build a good program, is through high school players. We had to take a lot of transfers early on just to make our roster work, because we had a lot of young guys, not many older guys left in the program. So taking some older transfers balanced out our roster. And now, we've continued to add really quality transfers, but just in some positions of need. And so I think people have this misconception that our program is built on transfers, and we've had some high-profile guys, but at the end of the day, it's built with high school guys and primarily high school guys from right in our own backyard. So we feel like we're better than we've been at any point. Our roster's better. The bottom third of our roster is significantly better than it was. We have more depth. We're bigger and stronger. We've recruited longer guys. Just all these things that you have to do to have a chance to compete for a championship. We're better on the line of scrimmage offensively and defensively. We have more depth at skill positions. And so all the things that you have to have build a championship program are starting to come here. We're starting to have those kind of guys. And as that happens, our expectations are going to continue to rise as well. So we haven't played well the second half of the season, typically the last 2 years. And so that's been a lot of our attention has been put to improving our play late in the season and finishing the season in November and December better than we have in the past.
Tanner Mordecai stepping in at quarterback. You brought up Shane Buechele. How do you move forward from Shane, and what does Tanner bring to the table? And is there a thought that we could see any other quarterback?
Yeah, we'll have a quarterback competition. We signed a really highly regarded kid from here in Dallas, Preston Stone, from Parish Episcopal, that was kind of a national type recruit. And then we've got a walk-on quarterback that's really gotten better. Derek Green, his dad's Trent Green, had a lot of success in Kansas City as a quarterback, and has great great talent, and really started to come into his own. So we're going to have a 3 quarterback competition. We did that in the spring. Luckily, all 3 guys were here and had a chance to learn the offense, and one of them will make a big jump. I mean, it always happens every year. As some quarterback over the summer starts to figure it all out, and we'll see who that is and roll with the starter. The good thing is we're confident that any of those 3 guys can do it. You asked about Tanner specifically. He's a guy that can really run. I mean, he ran sub 1,100 or sub 11 second 100 meters in high school. He's got great speed. He's got a big arm. There's a reason why he was a national recruit. Preston's kind of the same way, not as fast, but Preston's a really outstanding runner, really picked things up quickly, very smart, does some of the things that you can't teach at that position as well as anybody I've been around, especially for a young guy. And then Derek has kind of been a guy that's, has improved every year. Same thing, big, strong guy, good runner. And so, one thing we haven't really had is a quarterback that was very mobile. Shane was a lot of things for us, outstanding player, but mobility wasn't his strength. And so these guys are going to be a little bit different, and I think it's going to give us a little bit different dimension in our offense.
A few final points here with Sonny Dykes, the head coach of the SMU Mustangs football program inside of the American Athletic Conference. What does pony up mean to you?
Well, for us, it's an attitude. It's a championship attitude. It's a way of going about things. Kind of talks about our culture. I think it defines our culture in a lot of ways. And what we're all about is coming to work, being blue collar, having that kind of attitude that we're gonna grind it out. We're gonna compete for everything that we get and earn. Our guys enjoy the competition that we're starting to develop in our program. We have 3-year starters now that are really having to fight hard to hold on to their job because the freshman class that we're bringing in are different kind of guys. They're bigger, they're stronger, they're faster, they're more able to compete at a high level early in their career. And so, it's all about competition for us. That's kind of what this thing is about and what it's built on. And our guys are starting to understand that. And again, the thing we've got to get corrected is our ability to finish. We haven't finished some games like we needed to in the past couple of times last year, and we certainly haven't finished the season the last couple of years the way we need to. So that's the next step for us.
College football playoff looking to expand to 12 teams. What does that mean for SMU and the American?
Well, it's a huge deal. That's a very, very big deal for our conference. Right now, half the teams in college football have no chance of getting the college football playoff. Everybody can say what they want to. It doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter who they beat. It doesn't matter what their record is, how impressive their victories are. Everybody talks about the eye test. Doesn't matter what the eye test is. They're not getting in. And so, to me, I don't know that there's any other sport in the world, any other organization in the world where half the teams have no chance to win the championship. So it just doesn't make any sense to me at all. I'm hoping that we can get this passed. I'm hoping that, conference commissioners and people that are going to vote on this, and presidents and whoever is going to make these decisions, whether or not we adopt the system, I'm hoping that they, aren't upset about what's happened with Texas and Oklahoma's move to the SEC. I'm hoping they can see through that and get some inclusion in the playoff. And it's going to make a huge difference for us and for teams in the American because now we have a chance. We have a legitimate chance to get in there and see how we measure up against everybody else. And again, you go back and you look at Cincinnati last year, you look at Central Florida in years past, you look at Memphis in years past, those teams from our league that are the champion have measured up very well to anybody in college football. So there's no reason not to include us. And now, same old deal. If we get that opportunity, it's time to put up and shut up, and that's all we're asking for is a chance to compete along with everybody else.
And I love that answer, and I agree wholeheartedly with the fact that the college football playoff has been very, discriminatory through, for half of the teams, and definitely with the American, with UCF, with the likes of Memphis, and of course, mentioning Cincinnati, who I believe should have been in last year. Before I let you go, Sonny, name, image, and likeness. I spoke with your players about it, your representation at the AAC kickoff, and speaking with them, I know that some of them have already gotten themselves involved. And what I found was great about your player representation that you had is that one of the first things they said to me about name, image, and likeness is you can't sign every deal. Thank you for the people that reached out to me, but I have to sift through it. I have to see the people that make sense. I have to look at their brand. I have to look at what I'm standing for. I was very happy to hear the knowledge and the wisdom that these gentlemen have at such a young age about being essentially a small business. What are you doing to train them and help them in name, image, and likeness, and what do you think about it?
Well, yeah, that's our job is to teach our players and inform our players about everything that has to do with life outside of football, and we take that duty for us very seriously. It's important, to me personally, that we do a good job of getting our guys ready for when football's over. And I think just like you said, this is basically them building a small business and capitalizing on the brand. And so you don't want to associate yourself with people that you don't know. You don't want to dive into relationships with people that you can't trust. And so like anything else, we've told them, look, there's going to be lots of people out there that want to take advantage of you. And there is in any business and in any industry. And that's the way the world works. And so what you have to do is you have to take a look at it. You have to make good decisions. You got to consider all the different angles and things that can happen as a result of giving somebody your name or your image. And so, our guys, I think, are really smart guys. I think they're going to be patient and make good decisions when it comes to this. And I think that, look, this is something that is long overdue. Everybody talks about all these changes in college football and how they're going to disrupt the game and all that. I don't see that at all. I mean, I see that, young people have a chance to do something with their brand. That brand has always existed, and why should they not have the opportunity to capitalize on it? So I've never really understood that way of thinking. In my personal opinion, I think that's going to lead to a lot of changes within college football and with the NCAA, and it obviously already has. I think it's going to lead to more. And so, it's like anything else. The world changes. You've got to change with it. And our players, I want to see them be able to make money and to use themselves to better their situation in the world. And that's what this whole thing is about. That's what college football is about. It's what a scholarship is about. It's about, somebody that has an opportunity now to better themselves, to better their situation for their family. And why would we not want to be as supportive and cooperative in that endeavor as we possibly could?
That coming from Sonny Dykes, SMU Mustangs head football coach. Sonny, I appreciate you taking some expanded time with me here today on Wake Up Call inside the Cafe Kubal studios. And as always, it's my honor and my privilege to be able to speak with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it, Dan. It's always good to see you.
All right, great. That coming once again from Mr. Sonny Dykes here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. And I very much appreciate having Sonny on the show and spending a lot of expanded time with us. So, and a shout out to Mike, who said, love Sonny, such a class act. Yes, he definitely has been with me, and spending some time here really meant a lot to me because, as you know, last week was American Power Play Week, where I featured all 11 schools of college football side of the American Athletic Conference. So you got to hear from SMU and Temple and Tulane and Tulsa, as well as UCF and South Florida, East Carolina, Navy, Memphis, Cincinnati. I think I hit everybody there. Pretty sure that I did. But, so you got to hear from all the schools. And I said that last week was American Power Play Week, but maybe not completely. Last week was the end of American Power Play Week, and this was my ace in the hole. So you got to see my video Q&As with the coaches and the players from around the league, but this one, a very special, because Sonny and I got to sit down and spend some more time with one another, 20 minutes here. So, to be able to do this. So I'm very excited that we got to bring you this special. And, again, a big thanks to, Houston. I wanted to make sure I mentioned Houston. So Cincinnati, East Carolina, Houston, Memphis, Navy, SMU, South Florida, Temple, Tulane, Tulsa, UCF. Thank you to all the players that I had the opportunity of speaking with, and I got to talk with every single one of the coaches. So a big thanks to Luke Fickell of Cincinnati, Mike Houston of East Carolina, Dana Holgerson of Houston, Ryan Silverfield of Memphis, Kenya Matalolo of Navy, Jeff Scott of South Florida, Rod Carey of Temple, Willie Fritz of Tulane, Philip Montgomery of Tulsa, Gus Malzahn of UCF, and of course, today, getting to share with you Sonny Dykes of SMU. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. When we come back, we will have a heartfelt tribute to Nathan Tammelaid. Gone way too soon. Right after this. In these unique times, there are those in our community They give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
This is Jim Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. He kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career, it's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. Here inside the Cafe Kubal studios. You are also watching on Facebook.com/wakeupcalldt and Facebook.com/livenowdt. You're watching on YouTube.com/wakeupcalldt as well. Inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin', we just featured SMU head coach Sonny Dykes in a very special college football spotlight sit-down conversation. And now it's my opportunity to honor Nathan Tammelaid. Now, some of you know Nate, some of you do not. I got the news a day before our 10-year anniversary of our fantasy football league where I met Nate. a decade ago. We were at Quaker Steak and Lube, I believe. I met Nate, I met Zach, I met Nicholas, and they all came into my life through the art of fantasy football. 10 years ago, I met total strangers who agreed to be a part of a league that I was creating with the fans to try and take my love for fantasy football and reach out to other people and do something in the community where we could all come together and have some fun and support local business and support each other and just put a face to the names of the fantasy teams out there instead of just playing online, to actually get to know people in the community. Well, Nate's one of those people I got to get to know. He's one of those people I got to spend time with. And maybe it was once, sometimes twice a year, but he made an impact on my life. Because he cared. Because it mattered to him. Because spending time together was something that he valued. He would thank me. He would sit there and say that he wanted to get together. He wanted the league to do that. He wanted us to be around each other. Just let me know. Just let me know. I remember days at the Saltine Warrior with him. I remember Quaker Steak and Lube, like I said. I remember, obviously, the Wildcat Sports Pub. And I remember the last time he sat with us. During a pandemic, life got crazily clear for me. And I believe that during the pandemic, Nate couldn't make it. And I think Zach and Nicholas drafted for him last year. So it's been a couple years since I've been in the same room as Nate. But his impact on my life was way more than fantasy football. Because he showed up. He came to the draft. He always said yes. And for the last almost 10 years, he's been with us. Drafting with us, laughing with us, having fun with us. It's so much more than fantasy football. Because the people that I've met through this have been incredible. And what you need to realize in your life when you're sitting there focusing on what you don't have, what you do have may be passing you by. What you do have may be gone too soon. What you do have, you maybe should have called or emailed and pushed getting together. Nate always wanted to get together. I didn't always do a good job. And so it's my testament, my tribute to the rest of the people that I know today from fantasy football and from wherever, to take the time to not focus on what I do not have, but to focus on what I do, which are friends, whether we see each other once a year or every week. Friendships that have been built. People don't stay with you for years upon years upon years unless they like something about you and you like something about them. People don't show up unless they want to. So I want to give a special thanks today as we do this tribute to Nate. I would like to make a very special tribute and a very special thank you to everybody in our fantasy football leagues, because it is so much more than that to me. I value you all. I appreciate you all. I thank you all. So to Phil C., to Nick C., to Justin L., to Zach W., to Greg E., to Myron K., to Johnny R., to Macaulay B., to David R., to Aaron R., to John T., as well as to James L. I want to make sure I don't miss anybody here because you're all important to me. To James L., to Mark W., to Danny T., to Rebecca O., to Paul D., to Bill H., to Jim D., to Carol D., to Steve C., thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm not done. I also want to put a special thanks out there to Marcus C., to Julian W., to Christopher M., as well as Fabiola M., to Debbie C., to Robert W., to Scott P., to Shamarco T., to Matt E., and my Floridian League that has been with me for 11 years. So we just hit our 10-year anniversary here in Central New York at our Wildcat Leagues. We hit our 11-year at Hooters down in Florida. So to Mark A., Stephen A., Lisa H., Eric C., Mike S., Rick E., Trey S., Nicholas M., and Jason L. And to everybody that's been in the leagues before, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being with us. Because it is so much more to me than just drafting. It is so much more to me than just sitting there. I want to thank my new Marywood League from last year too. Brendan M., Joe F., Ross T., Brandon S., John B., Matt E. again, and Lawrence T. Life will do a lot of things to you. Hopefully it'll wake you up. And for those of you that know the show, you know that this is called Wake Up Call, not because it's a morning show. I mean, that can be part of it. That is part of it. But because of the fact that it's meant to be a wake-up call. I want you to listen to this show and learn something, take something positive. I want to do that, and I have. So today is about Nathan. Today is about somebody who showed up. Today is about someone who took the time and sat in that chair and he smiled, and I never ever thought that he wouldn't be here. I never did. 33 years old. 33. A child, a baby, someone who's barely experienced life. And because of people like Zach and people like Nicholas, I got to know somebody like Nate. I got to joke with him and laugh with him and smile with him and sit with him and talk with him. And it's amazing that you don't think about this stuff, but after you find out somebody passes away, all of those memories come rushing back. And I start seeing those moments with Nate. I start having these memories, and every one of them is a good one. Every one of them is a fond one. So Nate, I didn't tell you enough, but thank you for being so much more than fantasy football. Thank you for being a friend. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for trying to get together, because I know that when I sent out the fantasy football emails for us to get together during the season, I know you were one of those people that wanted to and tried to and did. So thank you for reaching out. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for supporting my career. Thank you for supporting my business. Thank you for supporting the people that support me. You did everything out of the goodness of your heart. Thank you. Thank you for being a good friend. It seems like you left a great impression on Nicholas and on Zach. Very much so. So thank you. Thank you for sitting with us. Thank you for drafting with us. Thank you for doing something that to some people they may not even understand. But fantasy football to us, those of us that have done this for a decade or more, it means everything to us. Because again, what I got to do yesterday, yes, I was at the Wildcat for over 8 hours. No, I don't regret it. Because I got to see people like you, Nate. People that I look forward to seeing every single year. And up in heaven right now, I hope that you are calm and peaceful and happy. I hope you are drafting your fantasy team with God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit. And I know that they got the ins on everything, but I hope you pull some moves there, get some Detroit Lions. I hope Stafford takes care of you in your fantasy team as well. Nathan, thank you for reminding me that on some of my worst days and on some days where I just was not grateful, thank you for showing up. One of the things I can always count on every single year is my fantasy football guys and my fantasy football girls. And you will always be one of them. You will always remain. Nothing will ever replace you. And there will always be a seat left for you at our table. I'm sorry that you're gone. I'm sad that you're gone. But I'm thankful that I got to meet you. And I'm thankful in the time that we spent. I want you to know, wherever you are, that I valued it, that I always look forward to it, that I did everything I could to make sure the draft time and dates were set so you could make it. Just like everybody else. Thank you for reaching out to a kid who came back to his hometown and giving me a chance. I pray for your family and I pray for your friends. As much as I'm playing fantasy against Zach, I want Zach to win because his team is called Win It for Nate. So, we missed you yesterday, buddy. We missed you. We'll be back on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora right after this. Tell the people you love today that you love them. Tell your friends that you care about them. Tell them that you love them. Do not waste a second. Because I never thought I'd have to say this today. And I'm one of the people I saw him once a year and he made me feel like this. That should show you what type of person he is, that he could see you for 2 hours a year and make a difference. God bless you, Nate. God bless you.
Cafe Cabal Mobile Cafe brings the cafe experience to you. We'll roll out to your neighborhood or office, ready to serve our locally crafted espresso bar to our loyal patrons. Inquire at cafecabal.com. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
This is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, located on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, is home to over 40 flavors with more than 200 flavors in their total wheelhouse. Sky's the limit for this sweet and savory Central New York company. Keep it local at your parties, fundraisers, wedding showers, baby showers, and more by calling 315-450-MA-PA. That's 315-450-6272 for popcorn bars with custom flavors and colors at your upcoming event. Make sure to visit them on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. And for more information, go to maandpassnacks.com. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
Here at Progressive Dental, we understand the importance of regular dental visits and preventive care. Cleanings and checkups are essential to good oral health. We have multiple locations in the southern tier, so come visit us in Binghamton, Enwell, Kirkwood, Montrose, and Norwich. For self-pay non-insured patients, we offer the Smile Plan, which covers all of your cleanings, x-rays, and exams for an affordable yearly price. Call 607-754-2273 or 607-754-CARE to make an appointment today. For more information, visit our website at progressivedentalny.com.
The Millhouse Market, located on 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York, is worth the drive every time. Make sure you make your way out to the Millhouse Market every Tuesday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. and on Sundays from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. as they are closed on Mondays. Download the app so make sure you have everything at your fingertips. The Millhouse Market app was so easy to use. I arguably thought it was the most user-friendly app that I've ever had for the most part when it comes to ordering anything. They somehow made it more easier and more effective in the sense of the fact that you have their entire menu, you have everything right there for you, the ingredients, like what's in each of the things, what's in this pizza, what's in this sandwich, you have everything right in front of you on the Millhouse Market app, on the Google Play or Apple App Store, and there's a direction portion where you can put in that you want to order your food, do you want it now or do you want it for later? And you can literally type in your address on the app, and it'll bring you to the Millhouse Market from wherever you are. Like, what does that? You know what I mean? What app gives you the opportunity to come out and see them and have all of that all set up for you? So, really great with the Millhouse Market. Rebecca Alford and the entire team for what they do is incredible and amazing. Their food is second to none, and truly, their menu it has no parallel in our community. That's what makes it so special. That's why it's worth the drive every single time. Their general store there with local products from local companies, local honeys, local syrups, and different things I've picked up before that I love. So thank you to the Millhouse for that. Use my syrup on all my pancakes that I make at home. And, of course, their indoor dining and their drive-through pickup window. Grab your food and go. So if you just want to get your food and you're in a rush or whatever it may be, or social distancing, you can grab your food and go. If you want to go inside, you can, of course, go inside to the general store and to the bistro restaurant. And the restaurant on the weekends has a different menu every single week. So you got to go in there and try their menu and see what Rebecca came up with that day. And Sunday brunch is served all day from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. So a lot of great stuff at the Millhouse Market. I can't say enough about it. They are worth the drive every time to 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York, and we'll see you there. Back here inside of the Cafe Football studios, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. So proud to have you here with us, hanging out where sports meets that thing called life. And I hope that you are having yourselves a fantastic day. Hopefully you had a fantastic weekend. And hopefully you did something good for yourself. You know, I know this weekend was great. You know, I got to spend some time with family. Got in some really good quality time with my mom. Got to watch the proposal, a portion of it for the 185th time. My mom loves the movie, and I went to pick up Lily, and I ended up sitting there and watched part of it. Then I came home and turned on the proposal again. So a lot of fun times. So spend time with your family, spend time with your friends, make the most of it, And, don't take anything for granted like we talked about before. So I had a great weekend. Loved my time with family. Awesome quality time with my mom. Great seeing everybody for fantasy football. Great drafting virtually with some awesome... I mean, we're actually going to share it, so I don't want to give away too much, but great drafting with some awesome people virtually. And, of course, all of our drafts we got to do at the Wildcat Sports Pub were incredible as always. So very, very excited to have that moment with each and every single one of you. So, with that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life, we're in hour number 2 of this beautiful last couple days of August before we jump into September. And inside of MonPawsPopcorn.com's What's Poppin', we have heard from Sonny Dykes. We did our tribute to Nathan Tammelaid, and this entire fantasy football season is dedicated to him. And here on our 10-year anniversary in Central and Upstate New York. And God bless to Nate as always, and to all of his loved ones. And now it's time in hour number 2. As I told you all week this week, we're going to be prepping you for Syracuse football. It's game week. I can't even believe I'm saying this. I cannot even believe it's been a year that I'm saying this. And then in other ways, it feels like it's been a year and a half. But this is game week. We are in game week. Syracuse football will start their season on the road at Ohio in a non-conference game against the MAC team, the Ohio Bobcats, in Athens, Ohio, this Saturday, September 4th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on the CBS Sports Network, which so many people know as the thing that's really hard to get, and you can never seem to stream it online. So, God willing, we get to watch the game, but that's where we're at. So, at Ohio, Syracuse will be playing at Ohio to start off the season. Then they're home for 3 games in a row against Rutgers, UAlbany, and Liberty. Rutgers, an old rival of the Big East, the old Big East, and which became the American Athletic. Rutgers went off to the Big Ten. Syracuse went off to the ACC. And this game is called Coming Back Together, First Responders, Medical, and Frontline Workers Appreciation. So a big-time day. It's on September 11th. It's an honor to first responders, medical, and frontline workers appreciation. So an honor back to 9/11. I can, and as well as an honor to everybody with everything that they've done, the first responders, medical, and frontline workers for everything that's happened in the last 18 months with COVID. And then, of course, coming back together because nobody's been in the Dome since 2019 outside of us media, a few staff members, and the teams themselves. So that'll be September 11th, the first home game, Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And then they'll play Albany at noon Eastern Time on September 18th, the following Saturday. And then they'll play Friday against Liberty at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on September 24th. Then they're back on the road at Florida State on October 2nd. And then they're home on October 9th and October 15th. October 15th is a Friday night game at 7 p.m. Eastern Time against Clemson. And, last time Syracuse had a nighttime game against Clemson, they had a big old win, so inside the Dome. So we'll see about that. Here's the irony. Dino's arguable 2 best victories in his entire 5 years, outside of the 10-3 season, when we're talking about like victories against the nation's top 15, he defeated Virginia Tech at home, and he defeated Clemson at home. Virginia Tech, I believe, was 15th, and Clemson was number 1, coming off of winning a national championship the year before. Now he gets to play, ironically, those teams back-to-back. Clemson at home, Virginia Tech on the road, October 15th for Clemson on Friday, and then October 23rd, 2 days after my birthday on a Saturday, in Blacksburg, Virginia at Virginia Tech. Just some irony to throw out there at you. And then we have Boston College at home the day before Halloween on October 30th, and then on November 13th at Louisville, November 20th at NC State, and rival Pittsburgh comes to the Dome on Senior Day on November 27th. Senior Day, a day, now, mind you, last year where there was no fans in the stands, Aaron Service, Josh Black, Rex Culpepper and company, bunch of these guys took a walk. McKinley Williams might have been out there too. And, Rex decided to move on and go to law school, and a lot of these gentlemen have come back. So they thought they were taking their last walk in the Dome, and it was a bad loss at home. And instead, they decided to come back and look to walk again. Hopefully, run into the playoffs, but walk around the Dome one last time on Senior Day on November 27th up against Pittsburgh. So excited to see what's going to happen there. and excited to see what's going to happen this season. This, again, is game week. Syracuse football will play this Saturday, September 4th, which I'm very excited about. They're one of the few teams in the nation of 130 Division I-A FBS college football teams that played all of their games last season and played all of their games on the days they were supposed to. They didn't have to postpone any games. They didn't have to cancel any games. Syracuse, one of the few teams to do that, and they stayed relatively healthy too, which is also another great thing. So a shout out to everybody that aided in making that happen, and very happy and blessed to see that they stayed healthy. So a lot of great stuff here as we talk about Syracuse football. It's time to get into Syracuse football, the conversation of, Syracuse Orange football as far as the biggest questions this season. Biggest questions that we have going into this season. There's a lot of questions, that can come up with a team that's 1-10. And coming off of a season like that and a 5-7 season before that, right after you had gone 10-3 and went to a bowl game in the first time in what felt like forever, and the only time that Dino's gone to a bowl game here, he's been 4-8, 4-8, 10-3, 5-7, and 1-10. So to see that and to have the fans really get excited, really get amped, really get pumped for that 10-3 season, and then to see what happened the last two seasons has been difficult to say the least. So there's a lot of questions, like I said, going into this season. So the biggest questions surrounding Syracuse football this season is live right now. I want to welcome everybody in that's tuning in inside the Cafe Kubal studios on Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, Facebook.com/LiveNowDT, as well as YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT, and of course on MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.com's homepage. Biggest question surrounding Syracuse football is happening live now, so you can give your thoughts and weigh in. So I want to make sure that everybody on our social medias as well knows what's going on here. Those of you on Facebook, as well as Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, Twitter at CallDT, and Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. Appreciate you all for connecting with the show every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And, of course, everybody that goes to the archives after that. So, like I said, you can pick up the show 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday, on YouTube, Facebook, MixLR, as well as on the homepage of our website, wakeupcalldt.com. And after that, you can search our archives and get the audio version of so many shows. Over 1,500 shows are on Podbean. You can also go to Stitcher, Spotify, MixLR, TuneIn, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, YouTube, once again, and iHeartRadio. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or you can search one word, Wake Up Call DT. And a big thanks to all of our proud partners here in the community: Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, Wildcat Sports Pub, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, Avicoli's, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Millhouse Market, Honda City of Liverpool, Pizza Man, Progressive Dental, Mother's Cupboard, PB&J's Lunchbox, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, and Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. Use the promo code anywhere in the nation in any one of the 50 states, DT20 at checkout. Go to Ma and Pa's popcorn.com and use the promo code DT20. It's football season, and you can't really have a true football day without a great bag of kettle corn from Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. So make sure you go there today and utilize our promo code DT20. Why not get 20% off, and why not support local? So go and do that today from any one of the 50 states, Ma and Pa's popcorn.com. And Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. Appreciate you and thank you. Ma and Pa's popcorn.com. Use the promo code DT20. Do it now so you can have your popcorn ready for this Saturday when Syracuse goes off against Ohio on the road. So many thanks to all of our wonderful Central and Upstate New York partners. So, and a big time shout out to Hooters as well that we had the pleasure of being with a couple weeks ago. And great football shits. You see that helmet? I got to take that beautiful picture inside of the Ensley Center. And so the biggest question surrounding Syracuse football this season, well, obviously, we can go to two main, did I say main areas, and that being the offensive line as well as the quarterback. Two crucial, I mean, every position is important, but the offensive line and the quarterback are vital. If you do not protect your quarterback, you cannot score points. If your defense does its job, which Syracuse has done many times, it still doesn't matter if you cannot score points and if you constantly turn the ball over. Last season, Syracuse created turnovers at North Carolina. Syracuse created turnovers against Pittsburgh. Syracuse created turnovers in a lot of different places at a lot of different times, but the offense did not capitalize. So, the offensive line this season, as we look at it, and I'll get into it this week from what I saw when we did a Fan Fest this past Friday, is that you have Aaron Service back. He's playing tackle. I have a video Q&A, extended video Q&A with Aaron Service I'm going to be airing this week. And him and I talk about a lot of different things, including where he is playing on the line, because he's played right tackle, left tackle, and center. So he'll talk about where he is, where he's expected to be. Matt Bergeron, where he's going to be. He's played tackle for the team, as well as the center positions and everything. Now, Darius Tisdale comes back, who's had some time out there for Syracuse. Josh Alawa as well. He's a freshman coming in here from Charlotte, North Carolina. We'll talk about a bunch of these gentlemen. Carlos Vettorello, a redshirt sophomore. He played center for Syracuse at times in his career at Syracuse so far. Like I said, Bergeron's been out there. Chris Bleich from Florida, from the Florida Gators, who is not allowed to play last year, which was totally ridiculous, especially like this year where everybody can. So, and there's like no stopping anyone in the transfer portal, and once you have a team, you can play right away. So it seems like a slap in the face, but Chris Bleich, thankfully, is a redshirt sophomore, so he's got 3 seasons with Syracuse, and so look to see him. A Service I talked about. And then, there's a bunch of young guys who have come in. Jacob Bradford as well, another guy that came into Syracuse coming from Iowa Central Community College. So seeing him come on to this team as well and transfer in. So you got 2 transfers with Bradford as well as Bleich. And then you have a slew of incoming guys, Kalen Ellis, Tyler Magnuson coming on to the team, guys that have been on the show, Austin Cowhey, as well as Wes Ho and Enrique A. Cruz Jr. All of those gentlemen have been on my broadcast. Will Fromey is back on the team here, redshirt sophomore. He's been on the show as well. And so a lot of names, but outside of Aaron Service, and I mean, Dakota Davis has had some time out there as well, but really Service is the guy who has been the most serviceable offensive lineman. So the questions still arise, because this is a team that for the last 2 years, you can't say it's because of COVID. And I talked to Rob Drummond about this, and I'll repost this show on Facebook and Twitter and all the good stuff, so you can check it out. And I'll put it on the homepage, wakeupcalldt.com. You can't shy away from the fact that last season was eerily familiar to the season before. So Syracuse can't say it was a COVID year. They can't. Because it had nothing to do with COVID, how they played last season, because the offensive line was the same as it was the year before. In 2019, in a 5-7 season, Syracuse's offensive line at one point in the season was the worst in the nation of 130 FBS college football Division I-A schools, was the worst in the nation in sacks allowed. That means they allowed more sacks than any other team, any other school in the entire country. Last year, they were the worst in sacks allowed again. So protecting the quarterback is imperative. Creating running lanes for your running back is imperative. Giving time is imperative. So this offensive line did not show up last year and did not show up the year before. And they know that. And now it's time to move forward. Service decided to come back. He's the grandfather of this line. My hope and my prayer is that him coming back onto this team is going to pay dividends to the team. My hope and my prayer is that this offensive line is going to create a group will emerge from the end of fall camp that will show that they together as a group of 5 are consistent. Because maybe they're going to have to rotate. And I would imagine they will at some point. I'm not sold that all 5 are set, I would think. But, and you'll hear more when I speak with Aaron Service, but there's you can't be worse than last, but you've been last 2 years in a row. You don't want to make it the trifecta. You don't want to go down that road. So one of the biggest question marks, if not the biggest question mark of this season for Syracuse football, is their offensive line. Because Carlos Vettorello did some good things at center. Aaron Service, like I said, has played in 3 different places. Jacob Bradford and Chris Bleich, people are putting a lot of emphasis on and a lot of hope on because they've played college ball and they're transferring in, especially Bleich coming from Florida. So there's that hope and that prayer that that's going to work out. They had another guy coming in from Texas who I interviewed and had on my show who decided to decommit from Syracuse. So they were supposed to have more help on the offensive line from another guy who hasn't played ball in a couple years. He was at Texas, but he was injured. And he decided not to come to Syracuse. So, the emphasis is on Service, maybe on a guy like Vettorello, maybe on a guy like Dakota Davis as a redshirt junior, maybe a little bit on Darius Tisdale, a redshirt junior as well. And on the guys transferring in, Jacob Bradford and Chris Bleich. There's a lot of hope, but there's a lot of questions. And there's a bunch of freshmen on this team that I mentioned. Cowhey, Ellis, Magnuson, Ho, Cruz. That'll be looking for a shot. Ahmad Massoud, as well as a freshman coming in from Bloomsfield Hills, Michigan. Shout out to Ryan Kisselstein, as Syracuse doesn't take many players, if any players, from Central and Upstate New York in the last decade plus, and he is from Corcoran High School here in Syracuse. Redshirt sophomore, 6'6", 325, Ryan Kisselstein. Offensive lineman. So yeah, the door's open. Anthony Reddy is a redshirt freshman. We saw him out there as well a little bit. So here's the hope. Here's the hope, but still a lot of questions. These are not household names. If you guys know anybody on the offensive line, chances are it's Aaron Service. That leaves 4 positions up for grabs. And Aaron has grabbed 3 of the 5 because the the ones that were up for grabs the last 2 years were never claimed during the year. So here's to hoping that this offensive line we see this season has 4 guys that step up, lock in, and become concrete staples on the offensive line so that Aaron Service can stay in his spot and this offensive line can gain some continuity, some comfort in playing with each other, and some chemistry. All of this is vital. You keep changing the line, you change the chemistry. It's like putting a different ingredient in. Your pancakes aren't going to always taste the same if you keep putting in different stuff. That's reality. That's where we are. So I very, very much hope that things will get better for the Syracuse offensive line. In my opinion, the biggest question mark of not this season, but the last 3. And I want all these guys to succeed. I want all these guys to eat. And I did a special with the offensive line where I had pretty much every single freshman who's coming into Syracuse on the show at the same time on Zoom from all over the world. And I'll put that up today so you guys can see that too. I might actually re-air it this week so we can have some fun with that. So you can get to know your offensive line. But yeah, that's a huge question mark. Another question mark, obviously, is right behind the offensive line. It's quarterback. Is it Tommy DeVito? Is it Garrett Schrader? And there's a slew of guys behind them that I think is going to create great competition for the future. I'm excited for the competition in the future. Listen, I'm looking to this season, of course, season by season, but I'm really excited about the future. Why? Because Luke McPhail is a freshman. Jacobian Morgan is a freshman. And some people go, Dan, they're not a freshman, they're sophomore, blah, blah, blah. No. Due to COVID, everybody gained a year. So, I'm going to say this once, and undoubtedly someone's going to ask again, but that's okay. You can ask questions, that's fine. Just be respectful. If you ask a question and you don't know, I'm happy to answer. If you ask a question and you're mean about it, well, then I just move on. So, just to be real, Justin Lamson's a true freshman. Dylan Markowitz was on the team last year, but he is a true freshman again because he got a year back with everybody with COVID protocol in the NCAA and all that, they granted an extra year. Jacobian Morgan played last year. He's a freshman. Luke McPhail is also a freshman. So they have 4 freshmen on the team. Garrett Schrader is a sophomore. He's got 3 seasons at Syracuse, coming from Charlotte, North Carolina. Tommy DeVito is a redshirt junior, so he has this season and next season if he wants it. Just so you know. So Tommy DeVito isn't done. He's got this year and next. He's got 2 years. Schrader's got 3 years. And the other gentlemen have 4 apiece, if they want them. So there's a lot to be said there. Greg said, ton of hope and question marks regarding this O-line. The sad part is much of the team's potential success is dependent on the play of the O-line. Hoping for the absolute best this season. Yeah, I mean, you don't protect your quarterback, you got nothing. You know, what was said to me before? That the 2 biggest jobs that you have on a football team is protecting your quarterback and then getting after the other team's quarterback. Protect yours, pressure the other. Protect yours, pressure theirs. Simple as that. Want to dumb down football to the trenches, that's where you win championships. Now, Garrett Schrader played 1 season at Mississippi State. He completed 88 of his 153 attempts, 57.5% completion percentage, 1,170 yards passing, 8 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He was sacked 15 times. He ran the ball 113 times. He ran the ball more than he threw the ball. How about that? 88 attempts passing, 113 attempts rushing. That's almost 30 more attempts on the ground. 587 yards rushing, 5.2 yards per carry, and 6 touchdowns. So he had 14 touchdowns in 2019. And you put his yardage together, all-purpose yards rushing and passing, he had over 1,600 yards and 5.2 yards per carry. So you look at Dino Babers' hurry-up offense that was best when we had a running quarterback in Syracuse, New York. And Tommy's not necessarily a runner. And Garrett Schrader has 6 touchdowns and 5.2 yards a carry and 587 yards and rushing 113 times. Who do you think makes more sense in the offense? Garrett Schrader. But Dino Babers has proven year in and year out that he does not want to let go of Tommy DeVito. So he said, 3 weeks ago? I don't want to choose the starting quarterback. I want the starting quarterback to choose themselves. I want them to choose. I want them to duke it out, and I want them to show me so that I don't have to make a choice. That's what he said 3 weeks ago. Tommy DeVito, Garrett Schrader, who's it going to be? Right? Because those are the 2 that we anticipate. So who's it going to be? Well, obviously, neither one of them made the push in such a way to command the job to Dino's liking, because last week Dino told us he's going to play both quarterbacks. So 3 weeks ago, I want one of these guys to determine who the starter is. Last week, we're going to play both. So does a 2-quarterback system work? Kind of. Kind of. I mean, Chris Leak and Tim Tebow worked with the Florida Gators. And kind of R.J. Anderson, Troy Nunes, and Syracuse worked. It was basically whichever one didn't start played better. If Troy started, R.J. played better. If R.J. started, Troy played better. Troy could bomb it down the field. R.J. could do like the running and other different types of things. So that's the tough part. It's like if you put R.J. and Troy together, they were more of a complete quarterback. But apart, it wasn't enough. And if you're going to play Garrett Schrader and Tommy DeVito, is that what you're saying? Are you going to bring in Schrader to run the majority? And this is what I'm going to say to you about this, okay? And this is just a scheming thing, and I'm not a football coach, but this is just from years of watching and some suggestion. Take it or leave it. If you're going to play Tommy, and when he comes in, he's going to pass, and you're going to bring in Schrader to run because he can, I mean, numbers-wise, it looks like he can carry that ball pretty well. If you're going to bring in Tommy to pass and Schrader to run, and every time Schrader comes in, he's running 90% of the time, guess what? Everybody's going to key in on that, and it's not going to work. But I say that to you now And I just warn you in advance because the Jets did it with Tebow. The Jets brought in Tebow, and every time they brought him in, it's like, oh, it's a Wildcat. Is he going to pass? Is he going to do? He always ran. 99.9% of the time, he ran. It's not a Wildcat formation. It's a running play. Just call it the I formation. That's what it is. Call it what it is. So I'm hoping that when they scheme this year, they don't scheme to have Tommy throw and Garrett run, because that's going to be figured out really quick, and then people are going to intercept Tommy and they're going to sack Garrett Schrader. If you're going to bring them both in, you're going to have to utilize Garrett passing as well, even though he can run, because if you don't, well, it's going to get figured out, and it's going to be a total waste of time, and fans will be probably leaving in the third quarter again. So the quarterback question is a big question, because Tommy DeVito hasn't proven himself, and he's a redshirt junior. Garrett Schrader is a newcomer, but he has some nice stuff from Mississippi State, but he's only played one season. So you have two unproven quarterbacks, and it's not disrespecting them at all. I'm making an honest statement. Tommy DeVito has not shown me enough to say he's the starter, no questions asked, leave me alone. But then Garrett Schrader, the newcomer, he played in the SEC in Mississippi State, so that's a good thing. But where do we go from here is the question. You know what I mean? So that's where we are. This is where we are. Now, playing them both? Meh. I could see Babers putting DeVito out there at Ohio. And in the first half, if Syracuse hasn't scored, or they have like a field goal, or he's thrown 2 interceptions, then you put in Schrader. I think Schrader's eventually going to take over this year. That's no knock to Tommy at all. I'm just saying what I'm thinking here. I think Schrader's going to take over this year. I think Schrader's going to take over this year, and then the 4 freshmen are going to duke it out to try and get behind him next year. Now, if we look back at the numbers, because he played in the SEC, look at some of the things he did here. Now, mind you, the SEC, like the ACC, played all in-conference games, and, well, actually, no, they were able to play a couple out-of-conference games here. This is 2019, pardon me. So, in 2020, right, because he sat out. So, okay, Abilene, this is 2019, because I'm sitting here going, they only played one. Abilene Christian, so we can look at that. Against Abilene Christian, he only passed the ball 3 times. He ran the ball 8 times in the game, had a touchdown. Against Ole Miss in the rivalry game, Ole Miss and Mississippi State. Mississippi State, Garrett Schrader was 10 of 14 passing, and he had 2 touchdowns on the ground, and they won 21-20. So obviously his touchdowns were the separation. They played up against Southern Mississippi. He was 7 for 11 passing, 9 attempts on the ground for only 16 yards. Against Kansas State, he was 4 of 12 passing, ran the ball 10 times for 82 yards, 8.2 yards per carry with a touchdown. Against Kentucky, he was 17 of 22, no touchdowns, through an interception, while 11 carries for 125 yards against Kentucky in a win, 11.4 yards per carry, huge. Against Auburn, he was 12 of 23, had 2 touchdowns, no picks, 16 attempts rushing, 89 yards rushing, and a touchdown. So he had 3 touchdowns against Auburn when Auburn was ranked 7th in the nation despite the loss. And then we look at the fact that Tennessee, he was 5 of 10, touchdown and an interception. Ran the ball 13 times for 62 yards against Tennessee for 4.8 yards a carry. Against number 2 ranked in the country, LSU at the time, he was 17 of 28 for 238 yards, 60.7% completion percentage, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, 19 carries for 66 yards, 3.5 yards a carry, and a touchdown rushing against LSU. Against Texas A&M on the road, he was 13 of 30, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, 14 carries for 64 yards, 4.6 yards per carry. So, I mean, you're looking at this and saying to yourself, okay, he scored a rushing touchdown in 5 games in 2019, and he had a passing touchdown in 5 games as well. And he played pretty well against Auburn, and he played pretty well against LSU, and he played pretty well against Kentucky. And he played pretty well against Ole Miss. So, not bad here at all for Mr. Garrett Trader. Now we look at Tommy DeVito's numbers of the last few seasons here. And Tommy DeVito, as we take a look at this, he was the backup to Eric Dungy, obviously, and then eventually took over, and then he got hurt last season. But if we look at these statistics for Tommy DeVito in 3 seasons at Syracuse, in 2018, he had 44 completions on 87 attempts, 50.6% completion percentage, 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 525 yards. Then in 2019, he took over as quarterback in the 5-7 season, had 213 completions on 337 attempts, 63.2% completion percentage, his best ever, 2,360 yards passing, 19 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Not bad. Not bad, not bad. Last year, 48 completions on 96 attempts, 50% completion percentage, 593 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So, when we look back at 2018 and we look at 2020, we say, okay, 4 touchdowns to almost as many interceptions. 2018, he had DeVito. 2018, he had Dungy in front of him. 2020, he did not. 2019, when he was the quarterback and he was healthy and he was playing, his numbers aren't bad. He also ran the ball 112 times in 2019 for 122 yards, which is not good at all. We look at Garrett Trader, ran 113 yards for 113 times. So think about this, the juxtaposition of who's the runner. Because I know that Dino tries to talk about, oh, Tommy can break off and run and he could do this. And there are moments where he can run, but I think he's more of a pocket passer. Garrett Trader and Tommy DeVito, let's just juxtaposition here. Okay, just juxtaposition for argument's sake. In 2019, Tommy DeVito ran the ball 112 times. Garrett Trader ran the ball 113 times. Tommy DeVito did it in the ACC. Garrett Trader did it in the SEC. And I respect them both. I think the SEC is the best conference in football, though. So, I mean, just statistically, it is. So, anywho, Tommy DeVito in 2019, 112 rushing attempts. Garrett Trader in 2019, 113 rushing attempts. Tommy DeVito's rushing yards in 2019, 122. Garrett Trader's, 587. Tommy DeVito's yards per carry, 1.1. Garrett Trader's, 5.6. Hello. Hi. The numbers don't lie. So you got a dual threat quarterback and you have a single threat quarterback. And Tommy had a good season in 2019. Throwing. But the question, and he has the arm. He's got an arm. He has an arm. But the question now is Tommy DeVito consistently the best option at quarterback, or do they switch to Garrett Trader? I can see Syracuse going, okay, if I was the coach of Syracuse, I would start, if you're going to start Tommy DeVito no matter what against Ohio, then I, as the coach of Syracuse, for argument's sake, would see what Tommy did in the first half, like I said. If it's no points, if it's 3 points, if he's thrown an interception or 2, he's out, Schrader's in for the second half at Ohio on September 4th. If Schrader does what he's supposed to do, Schrader's out there the rest of the freaking season at that point, okay? But Tommy DeVito and Garrett Trader, I could see Dino playing them both for the first 2 or 3 weeks and seeing what happens. I could also see Dino playing them both all year long, which could undoubtedly be a horrible... it's chemistry. It's chemistry. Troy Nunes was talented. R.J. Anderson was talented. But when one of them started, the other one played better. It was like whoever came off the bench was better. And Tommy DeVito, for argument's sake, is the same way. He played better when he backed up Dungy and he wasn't the starter. So maybe Schrader starts and then DeVito comes in? Because DeVito always did better backing up Dungy. So, again, I'm not trying to take the job from Tommy DeVito. I'm saying it hasn't worked. And the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. You brought in Garrett Trader to play, and you brought in 4 freshman quarterbacks. Some of them were here last year. Some of them were not. So you brought in all these guys... You got 6 quarterbacks on your team right now. You can't afford to just say, well, I'm playing Tommy DeVito because he's my guy and he's the guy that I recruited and that's it, and blah, 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 blah. You have to play the best. That's what you have to do. You have to play the best person at the position. That's your job. My job as a business owner, if I hired 3 people, and if Samantha is my best editor and Roger can't edit to save his life, I don't put Roger in the editing booth and put Samantha out, handing out business cards. When you are the head coach of a team, you are the CEO, you are the president, you are the boss. And just as it is my job to find the talents of the people that work for me, it is your job to find the talents of the people that work for you. And what it looks like is Garrett Schrader is the better option overall at quarterback going into this season. But he will probably play Tommy DeVito first and see what happens. Now, this is my cautionary tale to Dino. If you play DeVito for 2-3 games and it doesn't work out, you got to switch. You got to switch or else you're canceling your season. You got to switch or else or you're giving up on your season. And if you're giving up on your season, well, then the fans are going to give up on you. And if you've given up by week 3 or 4, the fans aren't showing up. They might come to the Clemson game, but that's it. Here's the thing. Syracuse cannot afford to lose the first week of the season because that could be the entire season. 1-10, you lose at Ohio. A former MAC coach loses to a MAC team that just lost their head coach that they had for a very long time. If you lose that game, then Dino puts himself, in some people's minds, below the MAC, below the ACC, in a dungeon, and people already check out of the season and they won't show up for the Rutgers game. I'm telling you right now, if Syracuse loses to Ohio, the fans are not coming to the Rutgers game. They're not. There may be some, but they're not coming to the Rutgers game. Now, if they beat Ohio, fans will show up to the Rutgers game. They cannot play Albany close. They cannot play Albany close. They cannot play... Is there a thing that I can hit here to repeat so I don't have... They cannot play Albany close. They have to beat Albany by 3 touchdowns. 2 touchdowns is pushing it. Some people didn't even know Albany had a football team. They have to beat, and that's not a disrespect to Albany. I'm just saying. I'm honestly saying. I think there's fans that I said, you Albany, and they go, oh, do they have a team? Is it Division II? Is it Division I AA? They cannot play Albany close. They have to win by at least 3 touchdowns. If they win by 2 touchdowns, it's going to be considered and it cannot be a Villanova game where you win in overtime. That cannot happen. They cannot let Liberty beat them twice at home in back-to-back years after becoming the first team in the history of Liberty's time as a college football team to be the first ever ACC foe to lose to Liberty. Syracuse will forever be in history as the first ACC team that Liberty ever defeated. And Liberty's an independent school in football. So you cannot lose to them twice. At Florida State, I think Florida State's going to be the second best team in the Atlantic Division this year. Most of the media picked NC State. I picked Florida State. I have tremendous respect for NC State. I just think Florida State's going to be better. And how good? Could be 7 wins, could be 8 wins. I don't know if they're going to be close to Clemson. I think they're going to be second in the Atlantic, which means they could be anywhere because Clemson could be 12-0, 13-0. So, but I think Clemson's going to get challenged a little bit this year with DJ Uyunglele. I think they're going to be challenged a little bit. I'm not saying he's not good. I just think they're going to be challenged a little bit. It may not be as easy of a road. Maybe it turns out the same. Maybe they stay undefeated. But maybe they get challenged a little bit. Just saying. So, at Florida State, I think is going to be a challenge for Syracuse. But Syracuse should be... The teams of all, this is 4-0. At Ohio, Rutgers, Albany, Liberty at home, this is 4-0 by if this was Rob Drummond's team, 4-0. Ernie Davis, 4-0. Jim Brown, 4-0. Floyd Little, 4-0. Joe Morris, 4-0. Donovan McNabb, 4-0. Okay? This is 4-0. For the most part, this is 4-0. They cannot be 2-2. They cannot be 0-4. And they cannot be 1-3. They could be 3-1, but that's pushing it. They should be 4-0. You go 4-0, which they should do, but we all know that this Syracuse team of late, what you think should happen and what does happen are vastly different. If you're 4-0 non-conference, you only have to win 2 games of your last 8. That's all you have to do. It's all you have to do. If Syracuse plays at Louisville, they always struggle when they're playing at Louisville. They have to go to Blacksburg to play Virginia Tech. That's not good. They have to play Clemson at home. They beat them at home, but they still have to play them at home. That's a question mark. They have to play Wake Forest at home. They've blown games of Wake Forest in the second half. Dave Clawson knows how to adjust and beat them. Boston College, with a new coach, they're doing better. They're going to pass more. They have Phil Jerkovich from Notre Dame, who's back with Boston College again this season. That's a dangerous game, even though it's your homecoming game. You're at NC State. They're going to challenge you. You're home against Pittsburgh. It's better than being on the road at Pittsburgh. But Syracuse is going to be challenged. They need 3-1 or 4-0 non-conference to have a fighting chance for the rest of the season. They really do. And I'm not trying to come at you negatively. I'm being honest with you. When you ask me an honest question, I'm going to give you an honest answer. Syracuse should be 4-0 in their non-conference games. I'm concerned they're going to be 2-2. I am. I think Rutgers, at Ohio, and Liberty are all challenges. I really do. And again, you cannot play Albany close. If Albany wins this game, then all hell breaks loose. If Albany plays you to within a touchdown or a couple possessions, no. This needs to be 50-7. If this was Clemson, this is their citadel. Okay? If this is Alabama, this is their Southwest Missouri of Illinois, Virginia through Kentucky, Hawaii region of Washington State, Sisters of the Poor game. This is the game that Syracuse is supposed to win by 30. I'm just saying. It's not a knock to Albany. Syracuse doesn't schedule this game unless they think, okay, it's going to be a good booster for us. We're going to maybe play 3 deep. Who knows? But Syracuse hasn't been able to do that. If this is Alabama, their third-string quarterback's playing. If this is Clemson, their walk-on wide receiver is playing. If this is Syracuse, they may be playing all their starters till the bitter end. And I hope that that's not the case. But this is a game you have to win 50-something. You have to. You have to beat Albany like that. You have to. I'm telling you. I've watched this team long enough, and I've seen this fan base long enough, and I was born and raised here to know that you have to beat Ohio, and then you have to beat Rutgers, Albany, and Liberty. You have to. In order to get the fans to show up against Wake Forest, you have to win those games. You have to. They'll forgive you if you lose at Florida State. They might forgive you if you lose at Virginia Tech. But what they're not going to forgive is you losing to any one of your first 4 teams. They're not going to. It's just reality. Got a response came in here. Should go 4-0 to start out, but will happily sign on today with a 3-1 start. This squad needs to make a positive statement as a cohesive unit out the gate against Ohio. Yeah, they do. Syracuse struggles on the road. Whether it was Marone or Schaaf or Dino, they struggle or Greg Robinson, they struggle on the road. Here's the thing: people think that Greg Robinson is the one name you cannot say in the state of New York without. It's like commanding the boogeyman. Okay, you can't say Greg Robinson repeatedly. So why? Because he lost all the time, right? Because he didn't recruit. Because he took what Paul Pasqualoni had at 6-6 that apparently wasn't enough, and he turned it into 1-10. But here's the thing: there's only 2 coaches in the history of Syracuse to go 1-10, and that is Dino Babers and Greg Robinson. So this needs to change really quick, because if you condemn Greg Robinson for that, Dino did the same thing. There has to be a change, and it has to happen now. And you have to beat Ohio. You have to beat Ohio. So the biggest question marks going into the season: quarterback, offensive line, and are they cohesive? Are they gelling? Did they learn anything? Are these coordinators, Sterling Gilbert that you brought in and Tony White that you brought in, do these guys that have now had, and granted they had a COVID year, but have they been able to get the guys to buy into the process, buy into their scheming, buy into their plan, buy into their blueprint? Do they have that now? These are big questions. Is this the right offensive coordinator? Is this the right defensive coordinator? Because they have changed over time. Are these the right guys? Do these guys finally fit? Okay, that's that. Can Dino Babers oversee a team in the ACC and be successful? That is another question. And then obviously the offensive line and the quarterbacks. Another question on this team, the running backs. But this is a better question because this isn't a who's going to play. This isn't a are they capable of? Can they? It's who's going to get the rock. Sean Tucker, is he going to get the rock? Because he demanded it last year. Cooper Lutz, is he going to get some of the rock? Is Abdul Adams going to come in and get the rock? Is Jarvion Howard going to get the rock? Are we going to see a little bit of Josh Huff? We're going to hold on to him because he's a true freshman coming out of Beaverton, Pennsylvania. So what are we going to do? Right? But this is the biggest question. It's not the personnel. See, the offensive line, it's the concern of the personnel, the cohesiveness, and if they can really just gel together and actually have a true starting five. And the quarterback, is there going to be a true guy who determines who it is? Running backs is different. Running backs, you could start Abdul Adams, I don't think anybody's going to balk at you. You could start Jarvion Howard, and I don't think many people are going to, maybe a few, but not a lot of people are going to balk at you. They're not going to balk at you if you start Sean Tucker. The question when it comes to the backfield is not the talent, and it's not the can they. The question in the backfield is, will Dino Babers run the ball enough to actually utilize what he has? You have an arsenal. You don't have a little pew-pew gun. You have a giant grenade launcher. Okay? What are you going to do? You have 5 of them. What are you going to do with them? The question of the backfields is not whether or not Syracuse has the talent. It's whether or not they're going to use it. And if they're going to use it enough. You need to run the ball down everybody's throat. Because that's how Syracuse gets beat. If Syracuse practices against these guys, if the ones practice against the ones, and they practice against Sean Tucker and Abdul Adams and Jarvion Howard and Josh Huff and Cooper Lutz, this defensive line, linebackers, and DBs should be better at stopping the run. Last season, that's all teams did. Oh, we're not beating them passing? We'll just run the ball down their throat. Sam Howell didn't look like a Heisman Trophy finalist or hopeful last year when they played him at North Carolina in the first game of the season. So what did they do? They ran the ball. Javonte Williams over and over and over and over and over again. What did Duke do? When Duke had no wins, they came into Syracuse, did what? They ran the ball. What did Liberty do? They ran the ball. So Syracuse has no excuses because you should be practicing against these incredible runners. Arguably incredible runners. Syracuse has not had a 1,000-yard back since 2012 when Jerome Smith did it. And if you count all-purpose yards, Prince Tyson Gully did it in the exact same year because receiving and rushing, he had over 1,000. So he had 2,000-yard backs in 2012. It has been almost a decade since they've had a 1,000-yard back in a season, which is atrocious. And I think Mo Neal should have got it, but they didn't run him enough. So, because there was 3 backs there. So now you have a team that arguably has a 1,000-yard back, if not a potential 2 that could be 1,000-yard backs. I would say 3 that could be 1,000-yard backs. I don't think all in the same season. But are they going to run the ball enough? Will Dino run the ball 30 times in a game if it's working? Will he run it 25 times? Will he run it until it works? Because if you want to do this hurry up, that's not good. A hurry-up offense that scores and a hurry-up offense that doesn't, in a way, is kind of the same thing when you break it all down because the defense is on the field longer. So yeah, I mean, a hurry-up offense that scores is better than one that doesn't last year. But a hurry-up offense that scores in 37 seconds and an offense like Wake Forest that will kick a field goal, but they take 7.5 minutes off the clock, that's still better. Condensing the clock is done by the run. It's not done by passing 3 times. And even if you do score, put it to you like this. If Syracuse puts up 50 on Clemson, Clemson will put up 56. They'll put up 63. They'll put up 70. We've seen it with Pittsburgh and Syracuse. Okay? If you want to hurry it up and you score, you're still giving the ball back to Florida State. You're still giving the ball back to Clemson. You're still giving the ball back to Liberty that can run it down your throat. You're still giving the ball back to Wake Forest that can run it down your throat. You're still giving the ball back to these teams that can condense the clock by running it on you. Travis Etienne had beautiful days when he was at Clemson against Syracuse. When Syracuse was close in Death Valley, what did they do? They ran the ball in the second half of Travis Etienne. He had, 3 touchdowns? 2 in the second half? So, the best medicine used against you, you now can use for yourself. Why would you not? And playing against those guys in practice should better prepare your defense to play against the run that was beating them last year. So they should be able to beat Wake, and they should be able to beat Liberty, contest them because they're going to be challenged in practice. If you have those 5 backs in practice, you have no excuses. Now, granted, they're not going to be the same as every back in the country. I get that. But if you're challenged by that talent that I think they have, arguably the best talent they've had in the backfield in a while, of 5 guys total, if you have that, you should be practicing better, and you should be challenged more in practice. Also, you should run the ball. Without question. As Rob Drummond said, you need to ask them. But in my opinion, Syracuse doesn't run the ball this year. They're asking to lose the game. They're begging to, in my opinion. They need to run the rock. And you got Garrett Schrader who can run. You got Garrett Schrader who's almost 600 yards on the ground, 6 touchdowns. You got Sean Tucker. You got Cooper Lutz. You got Josh Huff waiting in the wings, who could remind you of an old school Syracuse back, and you have Abdul Adams and Jarvion Howard. Hello? You should go to Ohio and run it the first 4 possessions. Run it 10 times. Boom, 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 boom. Keep banging their head against the wall. It'll work. It'll work. Keep doing it. Get after it. Because you want to play a MAC team and you want to try and outscore them? Dino, you know how that goes. So, let's just be real. They have the rushing attack. Use it. What's good with talent that you've recruited if it's talent wasted? A lot of questions going in this season. You hear that, I'm not talking about the defense that much though. Josh Black, McKinley Williams, Kingsley Jonathan, that front line is arguably the oldest, most veteran that we've had since Tim Doust was overseeing the D-line. Then you got your linebackers that have stepped up. You got your Marlo Waxes and company that are doing their things. You got some good stuff coming. Mikel Jones, hello. Led the team in interceptions last year when Cisco went down with an injury and he's a linebacker. Then your DBs, you lose Cisco, you lose Afatu, and you lose Trill, but you still have Garrett and you still have Jihad. You got a bunch of these guys back there waiting in the wings, ready to go. Arguably, your best secondary that you've had in 2 decades is last year's front line and then this year's front line that was last year's back line, arguably, but that had to step in. There's something to be said about what coaches say when they say, when you lose players, you have to play their backups, and then those backups get experience earlier than you intended them to, but that experience can pay off dividends in the future because it creates depth. And then when guys go to the draft, now all of a sudden, well, Garrett had playing time. Well, Jihad Carter had playing time. These guys are now out there that had experience that maybe they wouldn't have gotten if guys didn't get hurt and guys didn't leave for the NFL. So, this is good to see. Not happy to see anybody get injured, but it is good in the glass half full scheme of things to see the fact that these DBs have had time. Garrett Williams, Jihad Carter, Rob Hanna, all guys that got time. Then you got Darian Chestnut coming in, Deuce Chestnut. You got Malcolm Folk coming in, who is the second guy to sign on to commit to Syracuse. So that's huge. You got a bunch of these guys coming in, and Eric Coley's back as a redshirt junior. So they should be able to do some good things in the DB room. Even though they don't have Andre Cisco, Syracuse didn't have anything like an Andre Cisco and an Afatu Melifonwu and a Trill Williams for a long time. Then they had 3 of them. Then, in normal years, you would have thought, okay, there's no way that you lose those 3 guys and you could still be competitive. DB room's got to be the worst room, Dan, in 2021, right? Wrong. Jihad Carter, Rob Hanna, Garrett Williams, Eric Coley. No. Talent, experience. It's good. Greg just said something that I've been saying over and over and over and over again. If I was any coach on the staff of Syracuse, I would be talking about Syracuse as RBU. How do you not run the ball at Syracuse when you had Joe Morris, Rob Drummond, Jim Brown, Larry Zonka, Ernie Davis, Floyd Little, And on 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 and on. How do you not make this RBU? When I talk to kids and I say, what do you know about Syracuse? I don't know much, but I saw the movie The Express. They know the movie. They watched a movie about one of the greatest Syracuse running backs of all time. That's how they know Syracuse. They know Syracuse is RBU. So, Greg, I agree with you because I've been banging this drum for years. How do you not be RB? If Syracuse decided today, scrap everything, throw everything out, take out all the Dino-isms, let's start from scratch, and they just said, we are RBU. As bad as Syracuse has been in recent history, people could argue that point. If you said we are RBU, fans will defend it. Fans will get more excited. Fans will show up to games. We are RBU. If Syracuse said that today, they can literally make that count and stick better than most of the stuff they've tried to peddle in the last 2 decades. I'm just saying, play to your strengths. We are RBU. Oh, who went there? Jim Brown, Joe Morris, Ernie Davis, Floyd Little, Rob Drummond. These are all NFL guys. NFL. Larry Zonka. NFL. Tom Coughlin played fullback, NFL. Hello. So, what do you need? What do you need, man? Play to your strengths. If Syracuse said, we are RBU, now all of a sudden the ACC is like, oh, we got something to sell. Syracuse has something to sell. It's the easiest thing right in front of you, so take it. It is right in front of you. What is our identity? We are RBU. Take it. It's your heart. It's right there. If you say that, you ignite a fan base. You ignite the 80-year-olds, the 90-year-olds, the 70-year-olds, the 60-year-olds, the 50-year-olds, the 40-year-olds, the 30-year-olds, and the new people. You ignite the fan base. You wake everybody up again. We are RBU. Could you see that? Syracuse, RBU. Bang. There it is. Billboards. I see it right now. Do it. Hire me. Multimedia marketing partnerships are available through Dan Tortora Broadcast Media. I'm just saying. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. And we'll be back to wrap up today's show right after this. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, is our home for our Liverpool Warriors monthly exclusive sit-down broadcast with the Liverpool Warriors student athletes, coaches, and the staff and administration. I'm always proud to sit down and have some fun with the Liverpool Warriors at Avicoli's Liverpool High School, right up the road, within walking distance from your neighbor, which is Avicoli's, here in Liverpool, New York, in our community for over 2 decades. They're open Tuesday through Sunday. They have their pizza casual side. They also have their fine dining side, their outdoor dining, and their bar. And you can get in touch with them for takeout, delivery, and catering by calling 315-622-5100. It's 315-622-5100, and go to myavicolis.com. We will be there this Tuesday, and we're excited to see you this Tuesday at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, August 31st, with the girls swimming and diving team, who will be featured for the first time ever at Avicoli's. So we look forward to the community coming out and seeing us, and we appreciate everyone who has. Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Campground Dog Boarding, 2 fantastic places that are an extension of your family when it comes to your furry loving friends. The daycare, located on 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse, is there for you all throughout the week, and they not only have the daycare at 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse, right by BJ's Wholesale Club, but also on site there they have dog grooming, and they have a store to buy a bunch of the things that you need, from food to leashes to collars, toothpaste, so many different things for your dog right there on site at Canine Camp Dog Daycare. And around the corner at 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, they have Canine Campground Dog Boarding, where you can leave your dog for a few days, a week, whatever it may be during the holidays. Canine Campground Dog Boarding, the perfect place to bring your furry loving friend. They each get their own cabin, so you do have to make sure that you make your reservations. They do get their own cabin so they can relax, have their food, and have their bed in their own place. And they get to play with the dogs, and there's a beautiful turf outside area with different things for them to play with outside, and obviously the dogs that they can play with as well. Lorraine, Chad, and the entire team, Heather, everybody at Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Campground Dog Boarding are incredible people who care about our incredible members of our family. Make sure you get in touch with them today. The daycare, 315-437-7110. The campground, 315-299-4013. PB&J's Lunchbox, located on 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York, is the food truck you love to chase around central and upstate New York. And now you can chase them right to their street-side cafe. Open Monday through Saturday, you can now go on-site to see them minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway. PB&J's Lunchbox is centrally located with your favorites, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwiches on 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. What are you going to fill your lunchbox with today? Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, located on 791 West Genesee Street in Skaneateles, New York, is minutes from beautiful Skaneateles Lake, and I've gone there for almost a decade now. They help you with any injury from head to toe. Call them today to see what they can do for you, be it preventative care, rehab, physical therapy, and or surgery, laser therapy. Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, located on 791 West Genesee Street in Skaneateles, is filled with a team that truly listens, cares, and walks you through the process. 3 things that are very hard to do when it comes to sitting down with a doctor. Some of us spend years, decades, trying to find a good doctor. Dr. Mark Petropoli and his entire team at Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, because of what they do and how they do it, is why I go there and why I suggest you do too. Call for an appointment today, 315-685-7544. That's 315-685-7544. With that being stated, inside the Cafe Kubal Studios, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora wants to thank Sonny Dykes for joining us for a very special sit-down, extensive conversation that we got to have with the coach of the SMU Mustangs inside the American Athletic Conference. We honor Nathan Tammelaid, gone way too soon, of our fantasy football leagues, and a friend, and somebody that truly in the central New York community, upstate New York community, and in this world will be missed. And I pray and I hope that he's drafting an awesome team up in heaven and having a great and peaceful time. And our Syracuse biggest questions of the season, which a lot of them lie on the offensive side of things and with coaching in general. Cafe Kubal Studios, 3501 James Street, 401 South Salina Street, 208 North Townsend Street, inside of Golisano's Children's Hospital, 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, and their newest location on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road, where you can go there today and get your drive-through cup of coffee, drive-through chai. You can go through their first ever drive-through, and they have indoor and outdoor seating at Cafe Kubal's Sweetheart Corners location in North Syracuse on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road. We have a jam-packed game week of Syracuse football conversations, a lot of great stuff coming up, and a coach from the history of the American Athletic who is now coaching in high school in Oklahoma. I cannot wait to have him rejoin the show. Very, very excited that Bill Blankenship is going to be joining the show this week. We'll obviously have fantasy football with Mike Sofka on Wednesday. We'll have the Ingredients to Success brought to you by Avicoli's on Tuesday, and a ton of favorites coming up. Papa Joe, the Annoying Moment of the Week from Carvel DeWitt, Lead with Juanita Ward from Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, which stands for Learn, Evolve, Ad-Lib, and Deliver. And I'll announce my Top Dog of the Week, brought to you by Canine Campground Dog Boarding and Canine Camp Dog Daycare. Plus, plenty of Syracuse football coverage, video Q&As, and audio Q&As I will have with Syracuse football, bringing us into the official, I can't believe I'm saying it, first game week, the first week of the season for Syracuse football in 2021 as they get set to face off Ohio on the road in Athens, Ohio on September 4th at 7 p.m. this coming Saturday. So find us on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, the Twitter at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT, and of course you can always find us on wakeupcalldt.com, as well as listening to us every Monday through Friday and watching us every Monday through Friday on these beautiful outlets. YouTube.com/wakeupcalldt, Facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, Facebook.com/livenowdt, as well as YouTube, or pardon me, I said YouTube already. So find us on all those outlets, and you can also listen to us on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, and of course on the homepage of wakeupcalldt.com. And after the show goes live, you can find us in the archives by going and searching Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora at any one of these beautiful outlets: Stitcher, Spotify, TuneIn, MixLR, YouTube, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, as well as Podbean. So we'll find you all there by searching Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. So download those apps and find our show for free. Search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora so you have us with you always in your pocket and wherever you go, in the car, and of course on your desktop and laptop. And you can also search one word, Wake Up Call DT. And many thanks to all of our Central and Upstate New York partners. You heard from each of them during the show today: Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Avicoli's, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Millhouse Market, Honda City of Liverpool, Pizza Man, PB&J's Lunchbox, Progressive Dental, Mother's Cupboard, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, and Mon Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. Find us once again on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, the Twitter at Call DT, and Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. And as I always say, God bless, no stress, do your best. Know what that means, practice it. I will too. And Nate, we love you, we miss you. Thank you for showing up.